The other day I posted up about students and the assured short hold tenancy changing to an assured periodic tenancy, and this is a easy access where an easy change where the tenant can give 2 months notice at any time, day 1, month 2, month 6. Right, we've discussed this, and the student has to sign a 12-month contract, but they only really want it for 10 months. This means they can give notice after 8 months and be out after 10, and the landlord loses 2 months. Not sure about that. So the update on this is that last night I was talking to a student in this very situation, and she has friends in this very situation, and she said this absolutely suits her, because what will happen is she's now got an overlapping rental period of 1 month. But not only that, there is she'd like to be out 1 month earlier already, so that she's going to save 2 months, which for her will be about £1,500. But she went on further than that. What she explained is some students, they start in September, some start in October, some start at the end of October. Some students have exams and they're there until June. Some people don't have exams and they finish in May. So the shortest time period that any student can have is about 7 months. And it's averaging about 8 or 9 months. So I said there could be a 10-month period. No, there could be a 7-month period. Imagine that, 7 months. So after month 5, the student then gives notice and leaves after 7 months. That's 5 months down. Well, let's make the figures easy. Let's say it's 8 months because they wanted a little bit of leeway. So they're down 4 months. That's 1/3 of the total gross income that the landlord is going to lose. There is one thing that the private sector in any form of work or business is very good at, and the private sector is very good at adapting. Because unlike the social sector or local authority sector or housing authorities or central government, the private sector can act very quickly, and the smaller the organisation, the faster it can act. Now, if I was doing students, and I'm not, but if I was, do you seriously think that I would risk, and it's not risking, you think people aren't going to do it? The students aren't silly. It'll all be going around. We can all save £4,000 or £5,000 by not staying the 12 months, and the law allows us to leave. It'll be around all the universities, the campuses. It'll be around like wildfire. Everybody will know about it. So it's not something that people won't know. In my view, and it's just my view, I think that we are heading towards a perfect storm. We are heading towards a situation where the students moving in this year, we're gonna find it beautiful, and they can knock out 2 or 3 or even more months rent perfectly legally. Wow, that's gonna have a profound implication on landlords and agencies, because some agencies guarantee the rent. Look, the 12-month contract rent. Well, if they're going to guarantee the rent, the agency's suddenly going to have to pick it up. They're going to find a way to wriggle straight away. No landlord or agency, mostly landlords, in their right mind is just going to sit back and accept 7 or 8 or 9 months out of the year. They're just not. Even if they said, right, well, we'll take 10 months, and but there's no legal duty to make or enforce 10 months, and we'll spend the 2 months doing maintenance. Well, wow, if you're spending 2 or 3 months doing maintenance, what sort of maintenance did you need to do? Side of vacuuming it and painting it out and building an extension, I don't know. Now, in my view, I think the student market is going to change radically, because if I were doing it, I would say no more students. I cannot afford to take a 1/3 gross income hit. You just can't do that. And imagine if you got 10, say you're a pretty big landlord, you got 10 HMOs with 6 students in. You've got incomes of well, you'd have income of say 500,000. Well, now you're going to take a hit on that 500,000. You're going to knock out 150,000 off your income. That ain't going to happen. So I think something's going to change. And in my view, what I think is going to change is that the students are not, they're going to find it very difficult to find accommodation. Now, you can try and pull the wool over the landlord's eyes and say, I'm not a student. But unless you've got a part-time job where you're earning £1,500 to £2,000 a month, I don't know how you're going to do it. Because in my view, I'd say no students. I'm not taking any students. I'd say, right, I got 6 bedrooms. I'm going to decommission 1 bedroom because there's spatial standards to change. Now I've only got 5, but I got the consistency of 5 people that are going to stay, 5 professionals that are going to stay. And so a student is very coy and said, I'm not going to tell them I'm a student because I'm still going to play a trick and leave. So the landlord is going to do a credit check, find you haven't got a job, say, how are you going to fund it? And the student says, oh yeah, I got a full-time. No, they haven't. It's not that easy just to say, that's okay, I've got a full-time job, I'm going to carry on anyway, and I'm going to take your accommodation. Because if it was me, I'd only want to take on full-time employees, professionals. I just would. You've even got a question as to whether or not you actually turn around and say, well, I'm going to take DHSS. I'm going to specialise in DHSS. You could even turn around and say, I'll give it to the local authority because I can get £650 a room, or I think you can get £650 a room anyway. I just want to hand it over to the local authority and I'll get it every week, on the week. The local authority will pay. I know it's not what you'd want to do, but like I said, the one thing about the private sector is they adapt, and they adapt quickly. Now the homeless sector, the DHSS sector, I say the DWP sector, the local housing sector, is not perhaps someone that one wants to go into, and I can understand that. But if somebody says you're going to hit 1/3 of your income out, and you say, I don't want to take a 1/3 hit, I'm going to just increase my level of maintenance and I'll let the council administrate it, because the council will administrate it. There are a number of different directions that landlords can go. But the primary thing that I'm talking about here is the perfect storm for the student. The student will suddenly find that they cannot get accommodation. And again, I've already mentioned halls of residence. Well, I know just over there is a university west of England, and they've just built huge halls of residence, bigger ones, huge ones. Well, with that, what happens when they say you can take 1/3 hit on all of yours perfectly legally, and you cannot put in a clause saying it got to be 12 months. It's illegal and you'll be fine. So the bigger the organization, and I think halls of residence is the biggest, the bigger the organization, the more effect it's going to have. It's just going to be amplified. So if you're, say the halls of residence have got, say, 1,000, I think they got 2,000 students, heaven knows what that income is, and then you knock 1/3 of that off, or even 1/4, and they can't suddenly turn around and start to argue and say, well, we're going to withhold your diploma or your university degree until you pay, because you can. There's no legal basis for the student to continue to pay. Now, you may well be saying that the government are going to have to make an exemption for students for the periodic tenancy, but the periodic tenancy was one of the primary reasons of bringing in the new renters reform. There was two reasons: one, to get rid of Section 21, yeah, we just fancy getting you out reason, and the other one was to give security of tenature, meaning to say you can leave when you want, and the landlord cannot ask you to leave unless there is a reason. So if you exempt students, well, who else are you going to exempt? In all honesty, I do not know what they're going to do. I think there's a problem there, and nobody's thought about it. Students, I feel, are going to find it exceptionally difficult to find accommodation next year. It'll be okay this year. Contracts are already signed. I can just see a perfect storm brewing. Let's go walk the dog still.